If you compare games from our childhood to the games of today, there's undoubtedly something a little different. You'll be playing the new Metroid, just trying to relax after a long day of work at the warehouse, and something just feels off. The small annoying twink won't shut up and let you enjoy your adventure for some reason, or a woman with a bad character design lectures you on her struggles of being a black woman. It's always really subtle, a little bit of two guys kissing here, a little woman in power there. But you can't deny how it has slowly crept up on us over the last decade. Of course you've noticed if you have half a brain and a little common sense. I'm talking about the unwanted rise of woke game design. You can't deny that games are not like what they used to be in the good old days. Games were all about the hero coming into himself as a man to lead and save the world or the woman. Peach was always the princess in distress. Mario has to rise up as a man to save her, and is a model example for any young man. But in modern Mario still does his usual saving, but he is given no reward for it, instead getting cucked by Peach because she has no interest in him and would rather travel the world. Or, if we take a look at Zelda, my favorite franchise, every classic game has Link, a mostly ordinary guy, rise up to the occasion and become worthy of wielding the Master Sword, in order to defeat the evil King Ganondorf and save the helpless Princess Zelda. But the modern games, mainly Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, Zelda is the main reason Link is able to defeat Ganon, so no longer purely of his own courage and strength. In fact, Zelda was more powerful and strong in both games, making Link almost somewhat useless, just a tool that the powerful girl boss Zelda used. And don't even get me started on Echoes of Wisdom, a completely useless game that gives our hero the middle finger in order to give Zelda more of the spotlight. Another thing about Zelda that has been lost in the modern day is the religion. Link used to be explicitly Christian in the older games, and all of that has been completely done away with by the developers because Christianity fundamentally doesn't work with the newer woke design formula. I could talk all day long about how older games were so much better. Honestly, I could. There's no shortage of examples of franchises that have been ruined in the modern age. But I wanted to get into some specific games that might get a pass if only given a brief overview, but upon deeper inspection is riddled with the stains of wokeness. A lot of my data comes from the official Woke's game list website, which I'll link in the description, so some of my less informed viewers can finally start getting some of their facts straight. If there's any game I have the authority and knowledge to distinguish its wokeness, it's Fortnite. I have unfortunately thousands of hours in Fortnite, and it took me far too long to see through its woke veil. If you don't know, Fortnite is a battle royale third-person shooter game where 100 players are dropped onto an island and have to fight each other to be the last one standing. On the surface, that sounds very non-woke. 100 men fighting each other to the death to find out who has the strength and courage to survive. But here's the problem. And it's not something that they added in later updates or slowly crept over time. It's not just men fighting, it's women. I imagine, like myself, most players are blinded by the perceived manliness and fun of the game to notice that little detail at first. Looking back on it, it's unbelievable I didn't notice for so long. It doesn't make any sense even from a gameplay perspective. Women don't have the typical muscle and bone structure to hold guns and shoot rocket launchers, and definitely not build walls and ramps. And to make it even worse, there's so many collabs they've done, adding famous female, DEI, and LGBTQ ABCDFG characters to the game. And although they are separate and not gameplay related, it's impossible to escape them. We also have to take a look at the map. In the first 2 seasons, we had a perfect map. Farms, small suburban towns for traditional families to live in, but a small change in Chapter 3 would mark a point when things would start to change for the worst. Lucky Landing would be added, forcing random and unwanted Asian culture onto the game for no reason other than for representation. But they would appease the free thinkers such as myself by adding the snowy biome in Season 7, giving us some amazing Scandinavian-style towns and locations, which are some of the best they've ever added. But of course, that wouldn't be the end of it. In the next season, adding a temple-like location, representing some sort of primitive pagan worship. It was pretty much non-stop downhill from here. And while it hasn't been all bad, the woke part of it certainly does taint the rest of the game, making it practically unplayable these days. That's usually the way a lot of games are, because that's how they can get away with it. Take the new Metroid for example. Like I mentioned earlier, you meet this gay-ass twink who serves no purpose other than to represent the gays and practically ruins the rest of the game. What would be a manly space adventure following Samus as he traverses strange and dangerous worlds, just like the games of the past, it becomes a woke slog, jamming their agenda down your throat. It's not all bad news though. The website I mentioned earlier is a fantastic starting point if you're serious about not giving into the woke mind virus. And there's still a decent amount of games being made that thankfully aren't tainted by wokeism and liberalism. And you can always go back to those classic games from the past that still can't be topped. My personal recommendations for manly, traditional, and non-woke games would be Half-Life 2, Metroid Fusion, Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, Sex with Hitler, and Super Lesbian Animal RPG.